Uh, uh, oh, this is Brittany's actually.
Okay. Nice.
Nice. All righty, everybody, welcome to our live stream of tonight, and we are hosting it. This is, of course, Ronald, everybody else. Tonight,
What's going
who
on?
we got? What's going on? Yeah.
Sorry.
Don't be shy, y'all. Say hi to the people.
How's it going, y'all? How y'all doing tonight?
Hey.
What's going on, y'all? If you notice, I'm rocking the new 80 hat in honor
Yes.
of our first Yang Gang candidate to catch that W, Jermaine Johnson. Make sure you get it. It's in his merch store right now, along with this
There you
awesome
go.
shirt that's somewhere around here. But Ronnie, what are we talking about today?
All right, so tonight, we are talking about cancel culture, since that's been the hot topic button for like the past, 2 weeks now, 3 weeks now, half a year now, who knows?
Forever.
So,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like it's been for a little while now.
yes, and so we're gonna pretty much address this cancel culture because I know Aunt Jemima, she got canceled. The Golden Girls episode, they got canceled. I think somewhere along the line, Kanye West got canceled, but then he got brought back. So we don't know what's going on with him. You know, a bunch of folks got canceled, and so we're just going to pretty much talk about it and see what the heck is going on, why these folks getting canceled, and just have a discussion about it. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. For sure.
Fair enough. So, question: what does it mean to be canceled? How does one get canceled?
How does one get canceled? Was that the question?
Uh-huh.
I feel like there's two ways you can get canceled. One is like something from your past that's like controversial gets brought up. You know, like doing blackface in college and now you're like a governor or something like that, or like a tweet from 10, 15 years ago that gets brought up. It's like, something from the past, or you could get canceled from something that happens, like, I don't know, like on live TV or something, like you, I don't know, say the N-word on like a podcast or something, or you say something like, like something like bad and very controversial.
I think it's important, like off the bat, to set boundaries of what is and isn't cancel culture, because I've seen a lot of people like stretch the meaning of this. Like when those two cops got caught beating the crap out of that guy, and I think it was Los Angeles, and one of those guys got doxxed. You're like, oh my gosh, you're canceling these cops. I just personally think, and you guys can feel free to have your own opinion on this, that if you do something like horrific, if you're like a murderer or do something like that's absolutely horrible, like I don't think that really counts as cancel culture.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. So it's kind of like if you are doing something that really deserves, whether it's to be fired, to be arrested, then it's like it's fair game, right? People are trying to like protect people who do wrong by using the term cancel culture. Is that kind of like what you're getting at, Genie? That people are just trying to use the term to like protect people who already should have gotten, their butt whooped or like lost their jobs.
Yeah,
true. But Genie, you was gonna say something?
Yeah, I was like, yeah, and that's not good, because if you do that, it really softens, it really like normalizes people to these horrific things that should not be happening. If you just can brush it off in the same breath as, somebody said the N-word on stream one time, I just feel like that really takes away from a lot of the like more awful incidents if you lump it in all this cancel culture.
Agreed. Because I mean, okay, and I'm thinking with Sass, what he's saying is, and I agree with that. It's like there's if the behavior is bad, and I agree with that. Like if you repeatedly have been doing it, even though folks have told you that, like, hey, calm down, stop that, you probably need to take a step back and reevaluate what you're saying and how you're presenting it. I mean, yeah, you should be getting canceled because obviously you don't have the common sense enough to stop doing what you're doing, and just pretty much brushing it everything off, thinking it's okay. And especially if it's like folks that are like high positions of power, like our celebrities, our politicians, so forth and so forth, entrepreneurs. You guys are going to be in the spotlight as it is anyways. And so you always be mindful of what you're saying, how you're saying it, because it can't be perceived one way or another. But if you continue to do it without having no regards, like, oh yeah, that cancellation of your appearance is going to be coming real quick, real soon.
Yeah, like I remember a few years ago when Kevin Hart got canceled for some tweets he made, and he didn't get to host the Oscars. Like that was freaking horrific. Like why, like get rid of this person who's like in the prime of their career, who can actually bring ratings and great things to the Oscars, and you just cancel him over like some jokes he made.
It was it was like a tweet from like 10 years ago. It was like a homophobic tweet slash kind of joke-ish thing that he apologized about it before, and then he had to apologize for it. Well, he actually wasn't going to try to apologize for it because he was just like, I already did this. And I think he himself was like saying, oh, I'm not going to do the Oscars. I think it was him. I think they tried to make him not do the Oscars. And then he was just like, I'm not going to do it because, like you're bringing up something that I already apologized for. And I kind of want to talk about, because I feel like forgiveness kind of ties in with like culture too. And I feel like forgiveness is just something that just doesn't really happen anymore, which is unfortunate because it's like, like we're at this stage in our lives right now, but who knows who we'll be in 10, 15, 20 years. Like, like we're talking live. This thing is going to go up on YouTube. Like, like maybe one of these episodes we say something that's just really ignorant. And then like they're going to use that. Like if one of us were to run for like some, position, and it's like, oh, well, they stuck up for Kevin Hart. Well, like, I mean, who knows? Like maybe 10, 15 years later, Kevin Hart will do something. I doubt it. I doubt Kevin Hart's going to do anything like crazy. But like, you never know, like, what will happen in the future.
I hear you. I hear you. And, and you're right. We should be a little bit more forgiving than what we are, what we have been doing, because it shows that one, at the end of the day, the person is not superhuman; they're human,
exactly,
and they mess up just as much as everybody else. And because we put them on such a high pedestal that we shouldn't knock them down and then kick them while they're still down, not really give them a chance to get back up, dust themselves off, learn from their mistakes, and keep it going. And I believe that, as you put it, Al, that forgiveness piece, it acknowledges that yes, you've done wrong, but now you're on that path of doing something right, and you'll be more remembered and admired for doing the right thing versus the wrong thing.
I do want to. Oh, sorry. Go on. I do want to touch on the whole like just the human aspect of that. Like, I'm from Florida, and like if you're familiar with the 2018 like governor race, it was between DeSantis and Andrew Gillum. And if you were following the news, like I think like in March or April, Andrew Gillum was found passed out naked in a hotel in Miami with a male hooker, and he just like he clearly just like went silent. What else could you do? Found in like a predicament like that. But I think it was like yesterday, day before, he posted something on Instagram where he like kind of like explained that he was going, he was really depressed. He was going through depression, like losing the governor race really took a huge toll on him, and he never quite addressed that. And it's like I highly recommend everyone to like watch that, to share. It's like 11 minutes long, but it's like it's just a very humbling video that it kind of like, you know, puts you into perspective of like,
Yes.
yeah, it's like, oh, this guy was just human. He was depressed. Like we've all, you know, had like super low points, and then to be like in the spotlight, and then for people to witness your low points, like you could say that with like other celebrities like Britney Spears or you know, like other ones. I don't really follow celebrities that hard, but like you know, like when they have like these crazy episodes, it's probably because of that. You know, they're having a low point. They don't know how to express it. Everybody expects them to be on all the time, and they can't just always be on. They gotta learn how to shut off, but they can't.
True.
I want to talk about the recent breakdown, because it all kind of like ties in together. The recent breakdown of Kanye West and like him saying all of these things that people may not like or don't like, what he said about Harriet Tubman. Should we be more careful of the cancel culture, especially when we're dealing with people who are clearly having mental breakdowns?
I've seen so many things about this. With Kanye specifically, there are people who are like, you know, why are people calling him crazy? It's just because the point of view doesn't agree with what you think. There were some people pulling up Dave Chappelle's clip where I guess he was saying something about like, why, I don't remember what this was about, but he was saying something like, why do you call people crazy? Like that invalidates, like just because you don't understand what they're saying doesn't mean it's crazy. He said maybe the environment is sick, and that's what's causing it. And then there's a bunch of applause. So this was Dave Chappelle talking about something at some point, and people were commenting that clip underneath of sort of Kanye's recent tweets. So there are some people who are like, oh, people are too quick to say Kanye is just ill, mentally ill, because there are people who are basically saying there are people who are misogynistic and anti-Black. There are people who are mentally ill, and the two shouldn't be equated. So like what Kanye was doing and saying is like, some people were saying like, there are people who are against Kanye saying like, don't just go ahead and use mental illness as an excuse. And there are people who are for Kanye who are like, don't just call him mentally ill or bipolar or whatever, just because his viewpoint disagrees with what you're saying. And I mean, different points of view, but I do think that there is something, because I mean, clearly there are people who were saying to Kanye that, hey, we need to get this man some help. Like then Kanye said that Kim or someone who wanted to get him on a plane to like Wisconsin or Wyoming, I don't even know, honestly. So some people will say that you have to be careful before you just use that to talk about like what they're going through. But he's come out in the past saying that he is bipolar and has these manic episodes. So in this case, I think it is valid and fair. And maybe a lot of people who are commenting would say something like, yeah, we need to not laugh at this, not joke about it, because he's clearly going through something real. And I think there are people who still very much are critical of the comments that he was saying. I don't know if they were trying to cancel him, but they were trying to at least say this behavior is reasons why I really should not support him for president, for serious, whatever. But yeah.
I
Yeah, like, because and you know, if anybody in the chat or whatever want to correct me if I'm wrong, I believe bipolar disorder is like you can swing one way in an extreme manic fashion where it's like you're grandiose, you're giving like really expensive like gifts, and you know, you're happy, you're like everything's great, you feel like you're on top of the world, and you immediately just swing to like depression, and you can't get out of your bed, sort of thing. So like somebody in Kanye's position, you know, his manic up can be, you know, running for president, and he can actually do that because he has the money, he has the connections, he has the ability to do that. Whereas like, you know, people like us, you know, like, you know, you could probably like spend your money and buy like, I don't know, like 2-3 PS4s or something and then give them to people. And, you know, like you might just be like, oh, you know, Elle's so kind. And it's like, oh, she's actually going through, bipolar manic episode.
Yeah,
Oh.
and I was going to add to it too, because personally, I can speak to that because my wife, she for years, that was the one thing she battled. It was like on her manic highs, it was like she could do everything underneath the sun. Boom, 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 boom. She was good. It could last for like weeks, months, and then there would be a time when she hit that crash and she went down. You could tell she went down, and it stayed for twice as long as her manic high. And so it was literally watching that, like you said, watching that pendulum go all the way up to one side, and it was super productive, then swing all the way back to the other side. It was like, I don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. Like, what's the point of living? Like, it was one of those times where it's like, if I wasn't strong enough, I wouldn't be able to handle it. When funny enough, it actually ties in back into our mental health video that we've done, like, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And if you guys haven't seen that one, we suggest you guys watch that one, because it does tie in to what's going on, and especially with why some people who are getting canceled, but they're at that mental state where it's like they're stuck in a way, and for them to kind of release themselves from whatever is going on, it helps. And so, just to kind of put everything back in perspective, because again, I know some people said, like, we got to hold people accountable, which is true. Yes, we do have to hold people accountable, but at the same time, we also got to think about what their mindset is at that point in time, which they said it. Sometimes they may be on that mental high where they can take on the world and be the greatest superhero, and no kryptonite could take them out. And then at a drop of a dime, that same person is now like literally hiding underneath a rock, wanting that same rock to take them out the world because they feel they have no value.
So, I guess in a way to like tie this, like to sort of tie this with cancel culture, like, do you feel that, I guess because like Donald Trump comes to mind, and I feel like he is like a textbook narcissist. Like, you could argue with me if you want. Like, I feel like my father is a narcissist, and I didn't really realize until how much I was watching Donald Trump on TV. I was like, oh, he reminds me of my dad.
Okay.
But like, do you feel that for people to be in like such high positions, whether it's like, like president of the United States or celebrity or something like that, they should definitely be vetted out for like these like possible like psychological, mental issues prior to I guess fame or power or something like that.
I think Donald Trump represents the opposite side of cancel culture, like the anti-cancel culture, because people were canceling him so much to the point where the media just didn't stop talking about him for a year and a half. And I honestly think that that's what got him to the White House. You had him saying all these crazy things for a year. We're going to build a wall, keep all the Mexicans out. They're killing babies, and just saying so many things. And like every time the media would get outraged, it'd be another, oh my gosh, I can't believe he said that. And then it just goes circular and circular and circular. And then next thing you know, he beats Hillary in November. I just think that some people are so worried about canceling people that it backfires, and you give them more clout than they've ever had.
True. That is true.
Yeah, I do feel that like especially like Trump supporters, they were like shut out and like unable to like just have a conversation, with the other side of the aisle, and like people are just like, oh, like how can you support someone like him? He's a racist, bigot, et cetera, what have you. But like there was like definitely like key reasons as to why people voted for Trump, and like and I feel like it was, I guess, like our disbelief or unwilling to like get out of ourselves to just listen to what this person could possibly say or possibly understand about Trump, that we kind of put ourselves in our own way. And like I do feel that a lot of times we quieted the other person, quieted like the other side, rather than just try to like listen and sit in discomfort for a moment. And I do feel like it's like the same way in the other aisle as well, like on the right side. I do feel that they didn't want to be disquieted anymore. I mean, they felt like they couldn't speak, or like they didn't want to hear what we were trying to say either.
Right.
So.
Right.
I remember after Mitt Romney casted his vote to impeach Trump, he came out saying that he didn't feel physically safe going to the RNC, the Republican National Convention, even though it doesn't happen anymore. But so yeah, it does happen both ways. But I do feel like towards like the latter half of the Obama years, there was this like huge PC wave where there was a bunch of people who felt like they couldn't say what they really wanted to say for like fear of backlash, and it all like came to a head when Trump started just doing his thing. I see what you're saying.
Somebody named New Tone Producer put a really interesting comment.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and
I feel for sure.
In fact, I was even thinking that with what you were saying, that people who wanted, exactly, they felt heard and they kind of felt like this is our person. I would see Facebook comments or people who were saying how like, we got sick and tired of being told that we couldn't say and think what we wanted. And of course, a lot of people were quick to say, we're also tired of hearing you guys be racist, sexist, whatever. But a lot of people would really say like, yep, you can only go for these. There's no arguments left on the left. All you can do is call us racist, xenophobic, bigot, whatever. So a lot of people would almost kind of like, that's why the whole deplorable thing became huge. Why that became such a mark of pride, because it's like, I'm deplorable. You have nothing else to say to me. Like, I'm deplorable. I'll have it on. I'll drink your liberal tears. And there was kind of no communication. And so that became like their little fanatical support, of just, we're going to kind of we understand each other. No one else understands us. There would be so many things, like even like the outrage machine, like people would say how liberals, I guess people on the left would take Trump. They wouldn't take him seriously, but they would take him literally. While Trump supporters don't take him literally, but they do take him seriously. So there was kind of like this, over literal, maybe sometimes reading of everything Trump did, said, tweets, everything. And that would just fuel more of this on his base. Like, look at the left overreacting and doing all this. So there's almost like a caricature being built of the left or the liberals, which, I mean, that's not the same thing anyway, right? You just sweep them all as the radical left and the PC culture, and look at what they're doing on college campuses and safe spaces and therapy dogs. Like, there was a very easy way to kind of characterize and caricature the entire left as these people who are cancel culture gone crazy. And we can't, and so like I would see even comments about like how you can't reason with the left, you must destroy them. And I'm just like, wow, people are intense. People are very intense. And like this is stuff I was seeing kind of recently, like maybe pre-pandemic, but definitely earlier this year. And it's just like there was so much determination of like, no, we're absolutely gonna have Trump in again, cry more, all this type of stuff. And I feel like, I mean, now with the pandemic and the response, I think there has been obviously more of like, okay, this guy Trump doesn't seem to be very stable in a lot of ways, and how he's handling all of this. But I remember even a year ago, maybe people were saying how like the polls were so wrong because people didn't want to admit that they were going to vote for Trump, even on the phone for these polls. And so what happened is, I guess, also there was oversampling. I read a recent article about how they oversampled college students and Democrats, people with college degrees and Democrats, which led to like what Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and other states looking good, but then they ended up going for Trump. Now the polling has gotten adjusted, so I mean we'll see. But that was one point I was going to say is a lot of people maybe just weren't, because they were afraid of like being canceled, or people like, you know, a lot of people say how they lost friends, they lost family members, people who just completely like shut them out of their life because they voted for Trump. And I'm sure there's people who are like, good, like, yeah, that's exactly what needs to happen. But I mean, that ends up leading to kind of the same thing. Cancel culture is seen as this big mob of a wave. And then there's people who don't want to speak up, or people who will gladly maybe wear it as a sign of pride that, oh, I supported Trump or whatever. So I don't know. Those were just a few kind of things that struck.
I see a lot of that, definitely. To be honest, how do you guys feel about when someone like says something like that? Like, yeah, this family member was pro-Trump, so I cut them off. Me personally, none of my family were Trump supporters, but I did have one that expressed some deep interest in Michael Bloomberg, and Michael Bloomberg was definitely one person that I would not vote for ever. Like, even if he was the Democratic nominee, I don't think I would vote for Bloomberg. But I mean, don't cancel me for that. But I mean, with stop and frisk, with just all of his policies and his idealisms that almost make Black people seem subhuman, and to see like these Democrats dapping him up like he's one of us, it's I wasn't really feeling his comments about Bloomberg, but I'm not gonna like cut him off for it. What about you guys?
I mean, I don't think I had a family member that supported Trump. I don't know, it could have been like a second or third cousin, but that I don't know, but no one that I know. I don't know. Like, I think that is like very extreme to cut off the family, but it depends on like how close you are to the family member and how that family member is, you know, because like I feel like this also kind of can kind of tie into like I forgot what it's called. It's like politeness politics or something like that. Where like I'm sorry, say that again.
Political correctness. Sort
of, but it's like speaking nicely. So, and that's like the only way the other person could understand. Like the other person could be yelling and screaming down your throat, but you have to like speak nicely. Like that's how I felt was like in like the comment sections on YouTube when like, you know, like back in like 2019 when we're like, you know, watching anything that Yang was on, or like in Twitter or something, like people always knew that the Yang gang was like a really nice group of people. And, you know, it's like, oh, they're understandable. You know, we had like that reputation. Like to me, it just seemed like, and like, you know, like it was awesome. And, you know, I never like commented on anything. I usually just don't. But like, you know, to see that, it's just like sometimes people just say something like really freaking ignorant or racist or something, and then like a polite Yang gang person will just come in and just like say something and be like, have a nice day. But
kill them with kindness.
Right, exactly. It's the whole kill them with kindness kind of aspect. So I guess it's one of those things where it's like on either side, like if you're thinking about cutting off a family member, it's like something's got to give. It's like either you gotta, you know, shut your mouth and just take it, or you just have to hope and pray that they do. Like we can only respectability politics. Thank you, Amira.
Amira.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. But it's like but you can only change yourself. So if it's like, all right, I know that this person is not going to change. You just have to have like that, like self-awareness. It's like, okay, this person is not going to change.
Yes, she's upside down.
Yeah.
but
that's where she finds the holisticness.
Piggybacking off that, that's what I really liked about the Yang Gang, is that it wasn't about like Trump like, Trumpers and Burners fighting each other over who's right. You had this like coalition of former Trump supporters and former like me. I was a Bernie supporter in 2016, and I could meet Trump supporters from 2016 as well, and we could like sit down and talk about like what we really want in a country, not just fight over identity politics. Like at the end of the day, most of these identity politics policies don't really even make it to the floor, and we all pretty much want the same things. We want more economic opportunities. We want a better system that benefits its people more than its 1%.
Right.
Like that's even what Trump ran on. I mean, you can find a lot of similarities between both Trump and Bernie. I mean, not too many, but like
right. I've definitely like heard that, people have definitely brought that to my attention about like the similarities between the two. And like it is interesting, like just like the amount of like similarities that like we as like just like a country and a nation that we have. And I do feel like we get easily distracted by like the little things. And I feel like sometimes like the mob mentality, as somebody mentioned earlier, like something can be considered like somebody could just kind of be instantly canceled in a way, and like you just kind of go on like this like people just like on Twitter just like completely mob somebody, and it's like we're sitting here being distracted by something kind of stupid somebody said, and we kind of sometimes need to just like not pay attention too hard to like what somebody's saying or doing. Like this whole like Kanye running for president thing, like I barely cared because I'm just like I can't afford to care about that right now. Yeah, it's like I can't put that in my brain right now. Like I don't want to sit here and like figure things out, but like I'm happy that people entertained it or are entertaining it. Because instead of just like, but a lot of people, especially like a lot of Black people, are just kind of like just trying to cancel it like immediately, and it's like, I mean, maybe let's just hear, and if he has like some good points, we're probably can bring that to Joe Biden, who's gonna have like the highest chance, and who's seems to be listening to other people. So instead of like just completely just like commenting about Kanye, talking about Kanye, because I feel like that's the same kind of thing like we did about Trump. It's like, we keep talking about Trump, keep being against Trump. It's like, all right, let's hear like what he's saying and why these people are attracted to this, and ignore him because he clearly gets fueled by the attention.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I can like understand the Trump supporter mind. For 3 years, especially during the 2016 campaign, I actually worked at a warehouse that was out in the boonies of the country, and I worked with a lot of truckers and warehousemen who were, a lot of them were pro-Trump. And so I got a chance to like, actually have some conversation with them to see like why they wanted Trump so much. And a lot of it, it's for both Trump and Bernie, they both kind of overlap in their appeal. A lot of it is fear. Like they're all kind of scared of their financial security. Mm-hmm. They're scared of their, like where they're going to be in 5 years. Like they feel like someone's coming to take something away from them. With the Burners, it's the billionaires, it's the rich. With the Trump supporters, they think it's the Mexicans. The Yang supporters say it's the robots. We know that's true, though.
Yes.
We got 3 techies on stream. So but they know that we all feel the sentiment that we're losing right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like we don't have like a clear-cut future for our country. It's like, like I'm someone who, I don't think I'm really going to have kids, but like if Yang won, I would actually consider it because I'd have like a little bit more money. And
there you go.
Whoever the hell I end up with would also have a little bit more money.
24,000.
There you go.
Your country, your country knows that your country loves you, value you, and you are going to be all right.
Yeah.
That's definitely
child.
Yeah. I think that is kind of real.
Oh man, and get a better education system from our other stream partner.
Those here watching, we're gonna put that into it for a different time. So, but we're gonna switch gears a little bit, and there's a couple questions from chat that I saw that I think we should kind of discuss, and it kind of just like toy that around. The one comes from Sass, and it was saying, how do you guys feel about Nick Cannon and black athletes that are anti-Semitic? I think that's what it meant. Anti-Semitic.
Anti-Semitic, yeah.
Yeah. How do you guys feel about that? That's what he wants our thoughts from.
Man, yeah, this probably isn't my thing because I didn't even watch that video for real. Like I was trying, I just never got around to it. And I know there's Nick Cannon, there's like Louis Farrakhan, there's like people who've said things, even like some other Nation of Islam. You have some of these like more black radicals who are very pro-black, but then they'll kind of throw a lot of other groups under the bus, whether it's Jewish people, whether it's immigrants. And that's actually not as uncommon. Even like some of the, maybe I should be careful bringing this one up, but the ADOS, like you'll hear some of the really hardcore people talk about certain things like this. So it's like, I don't agree. Like, I mean, I have to hear what Nick Cannon said, but clearly it was bad enough that everyone just threw him under the bus. It's a thing that's more common than you might think in some of these communities, but
that's true. You're not wrong.
I personally don't like. I like to not just like kind of blame one group for all the problems, right? I have to hear what Nick Cannon said, but that's what's going on. I'm usually not really about that. Some people will blame even like black people say, oh, the LGBT agenda, and they'll talk about all these things, and I'm just like, I'm a fan of making as much broad, coalitions and union as you can. So without really having to like throw an entire group under the bus to uplift your own people, But maybe some of you all can speak better on that if you really watched it and you've kind of heard the history of some of what he said before.
Remember during the campaign where you had some like Pete Buttigieg supporters that said that black people didn't support him because black people are homophobic?
Yes. Yep. His campaign manager said that. His campaign manager. Oh my goodness. Holy crap.
How? That is not why, by the way.
Yeah, I remember some gay black people got viral on Twitter saying, "Trust me, people, like that. Like we do not support you either." Oh man,
major points from that one for saying that probably could have kept him in at least in the running for something. But no, nope, shut up an old foot.
But for Nick Cannon, to be honest, I didn't really. To be honest, I didn't really hear or see any comments. But I did notice something though. After he said it, he lost like everything immediately. Like it was just like I don't know if it's amazing or horrific how fast like it was between him saying these things and him, losing an entire deal with Viacom. Especially in a world where you have police officers who will like murder people in cold blood and still have their jobs years later.
Come on now.
I mean, it just feels like a whole different form of justice.
Injustice, brother. That's a later issue.
Yeah. Or social justice.
Well,
like the rules are different when you own a lot.
Yeah.
It's funny because I was when Nick Cannon made his comments. I didn't watch. I saw a little clips of it.
I don't think any of us watched the whole thing.
I don't think. Sorry.
Who's Nick Cannon? I'm kidding. What do you say?
Let's play some of his music now.
Yo.
Song.
Where'd all the viewers go? But the one thing that stuck out, which makes sense, is I forgot who said it, but the poster said that you can't fire a boss. And if we think about it, even though Nick Cannon got let go from like major deals per se, he still owns a lot of stuff besides what he got from. Mm-hmm. So it's like, okay, you're gonna cancel him from this one thing, but you gotta keep in mind that Nick Cannon, he's the type of person that he's going to find some type of way to make more money, to make you feel and look stupid in the long run. It may not happen like right away. It is just he's playing chess moves here and there. I'm not going to defend Nick Cannon for what he's doing or said, but at the same time, just thinking about who he is as a person, as an individual, It's like, if anything, he's going to use this to add more fuel to fire. Probably maybe one day somewhere in the near future. Like icon,
By Nation of Islam. I'm kidding.
So we have a comment from Brian who says he's Jewish and that he thought what Nick Cannon said was incredibly offensive, but he never wanted him to get fired.
I agree with Brian. Like, that's how I've always felt. Like whenever I hear like these little articles about like, I don't know, some like racist white lady said something racist at a corporate job, and then like they go and fire her. Sort of like the same thing. Like I feel like Yang and I shared like similar like sentiments where that one SNL guy who never quite made it to SNL said like something, said like the racist remarks about Asians. Like it never sat with me the whole like a person getting fired. I never like sat with me well, because it's like, that's a like, I'm glad that they're getting some sort of like punishment for what they said or did, but like now like you're ending their job, and now like they have no way of like paying their bills. Like who knows if they have kids, who knows like what's going to happen. Like I feel that there should be like, I don't know, like some sort of training program, like when you like get a speeding ticket and then you have to like go to like the traffic class or whatever. And I feel like there should be like something like that. It could be like, after like if you do 3 of these classes because you just can't get your shit together, then let's fire you. But it's like a lost cause. They're just super racist. But like I feel like a good percentage of people, if depending on like how like this racism, like race sensitivity class or whatever the hell you want to call it, is performed, and how what they're teaching and learning from it, if it's like actually informative and not just like some PR mess like the Starbucks thing, then then I think that would be beneficial. Because like sometimes people just say ignorant things because they just straight up just didn't know. It's kind of hard to believe, but it's a thing.
Yeah.
In Yang's case, with I think his name was Shane McGinnis, the Saturday Night Live writer, or former, but I think with like comedians in particular, there should be like a little bit more leniency, because to be honest, I like my racist jokes when they're funny. Like when they're funny, like they are funny, but when they're not, it's like there's such a like high risk and reward factor when it comes to racist jokes. Like it's so much like, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but like so much of black humor, especially black humor, is based on self-deprecation, racial deprecation. Talking about the black experience and how funny it is or ironic what we do.
Yeah.
So like when someone like says something and it like doesn't hit and it's racist and he gets like a lot of backlash for it, I just feel like there should be like a little bit more leniency towards people like that. What about you guys?
I agree. Like I remember, like Dave Chappelle, like it was like some interview with somebody, but like he talked about the guy from Seinfeld, I think his name is Kramer, who got into that.
Oh yeah.
Like this was probably like the first cancel culture thing ever, recorded in history. And he said like, he said something that's very racist, something about like hanging black people from trees, like something very bad. And Dave Chappelle spoke about it. He was like 10% of me, he said something like this, I'm paraphrasing. He said like 10% of me was just like, what Kramer said was, absolutely horrible. He should have never said anything like that. That was absolutely disgraceful. And then the other 90% of me was saying, come on, Kramer, you almost had them. Come on, keep going. Like that was like majority of how he was feeling, like a large so it's like, like I get it, I understand. Like, I've done like open mics too, and like you really start to like empathize with like the other comedians when like they're out, like they're trying. They might say something really bad. They might say something like really obnoxious and annoying. But it's like it takes a whole ton of balls to get up there and just have like really use like what the First Amendment is in some way just to just say how you're feeling, what your thoughts, whether it's in a joke or in some sort of way. So like,
Right.
it's like, I do feel that like, because I feel like we put comedians, like this whole cancel culture thing, I feel like put comedians at like a higher level, higher esteem than like, you know, president and like, you know, people in power, like Belladonna was saying, like social workers. Like there definitely needs to be like different accountability for who and what. Because like, I feel like you can't just say like, you know, like as like the president says or whatever, they'll just be like, oh, that was a joke. And I was like, that's not a time to be funny right now. You know, when like people are getting sick and dying, you can't just say something that seemed very serious at the beginning. And like, it's like, you're really that good at telling jokes? I don't think so. You know, like, I think you're just trying to save face as opposed to like a comedian who's practicing their jokes. And it's like, yeah, okay, yeah, like what you said didn't hit the ear too well. So next time, try to phrase it in this sort of way. But.
Yeah, it is interesting because comedians can get away with saying a lot of things. I mean, in some cases, yeah, they'll get really like the Shane Gillis thing. I was kind of mixed on too because I didn't even hear the exact things that he had said about Asians and Yang, but like I would say like there were some people who did agree with Yang, some people who said no, like even other Yang supporters said no, like what he said was bad and should have been fired. I would say with SNL, like if you're gonna get a job at SNL, which is actually comedy, and if your comedy in the past was trash, not just because of racism, but if it was just like not good, then that's completely, I would say, their prerogative to fire you and not let you on. Versus if he was getting hired as like, I don't know, something else that was not even related to those jokes he made in the past, then I could see it being a bit more like, okay, why are you firing him for something off to the side, even if it was offensive? But if SNL is a joke factory and he made jokes in a certain way that don't vibe with SNL's values, I would say that you know, it's very orthogonal, very like, yeah, we're not gonna let you on, and I can understand why he didn't get hired. But I would say in general that comedians do get a bit of leeway. Like Louis C.K., oh my lord, some of the things that this man has said. I remember I was a freshman in college, and he literally dropped like the hard ER in multiple jokes, and like I was laughing. Like I was like, I probably shouldn't be laughing, but I actually found Louis C.K. kind of funny. And I remember recently, a few years ago, it was brought up that he was saying things about how like this generation like sucks compared to the older generation. He's like, people say how this generation is so bad and so rebellious, but honestly, like they're going around saying, no, you don't say that. Don't say that. You can't say that. And I heard some of the clips and I actually was like, okay, that's kind of funny. But then again, he started going into like trans jokes and some other things, and people were like, Louis C.K. is canceled. But I'm like, I don't know if anyone is going to stop watching them who was already watching them. And people who never watched them in the first place are probably the ones trying to cancel them. And then like Dave Chappelle also had made some trans jokes recently. And people like, oh, this is not right. But he kind of explained that he actually has trans friends in real life, including trans comedians. And it's like, okay, I guess you can kind of get away with just making fun of any and every group as long as you're cool. I mean, I don't know. Comedians, it is a different standard. And then you have politicians, right, who can still get away with things. I mean, Justin Trudeau, Ralph Northam, the governor of Virginia. Oh yeah, that's you, Genie. And then Attorney General. Also, like there's blackface. There's the KKK and blackface for the governor. The Attorney General just out of nowhere said he did blackface at a Michael Jackson party. I guess this was young Michael Jackson.
Got a confession.
And then he's like, let me just randomly share this. And then it's just cringe all over. And it's like, but then people are like, well, we're still going to vote for him because we'd rather have him than the Republicans. So I feel like in some cases, some politicians can't get canceled because they're better than the other choice. I remember Stacey Abrams said something like that. She was talking about more political, like in Louisiana, how John Bel Edwards had a very strict abortion law, but he's a Democrat. And she was saying, Stacey Abrams was saying, like, he expanded Medicare across the whole state, Medicaid, the largest expansion of Medicaid in the state. But she's also going to fight him when it comes to things like that, like the abortion law. So it's kind of like there are people who pick their poison. It's like, okay, I didn't like what this person said or did, whether it was a kind of obnoxious thing like the blackface, whether it's something that's actually politically not great for the left, but still they would rather have that than the other side. So it's kind of weird, the different standards depending on your values and in general, that sometimes it's just the acceptance. Even like Biden's "you ain't black" comments, and we talked about that already. But sometimes it's just like, oh boy. But then it's like,
Right.
but at the end of the day, probably gonna vote. Maybe we won't vote for him, but it's kind of like you kind of you want to cancel, but then you sort of just like groan and stomach it and swallow the pill, which just sucks because I feel like it does lead to that kind of like, oh well, different standards. But you know, we wish it wouldn't happen at all. I'm not happy that Justin Trudeau or whoever else decided to do blackface in their college days, or their med school days, which I mean is much worse because you're really a grown adult at that point. But whatever.
Yeah, you learn about medicine.
You know, so you know who I noticed can't get canceled? Media companies. Like, remember that CNBC fiasco when they posted this random picture of this random Asian dude instead of Andrew Yang, and the yeah, do you remember that?
They posted Kirsten Gillibrand instead of Tulsi.
Yeah.
Gillibrand. I remember, to be honest, it was probably funnier than most of the racist jokes I've ever seen.
Yeah,
in this random Asian guy.
Yeah. I mean, he was in good spirits about it too. Sometimes, like, I personally don't get offended like by a lot. Like probably because I didn't use quite 4chan. 4chan was kind of extreme for me, but I was on a lot of meme sites in high school and stuff, and my friends were really into memes. So like, what was that one? I mean, it's actually like really not good. It was like, you done goofed. It was the girl who, I mean, it's kind of dark, so I probably shouldn't really share hair, but a girl who was sort of bullied, and to the point, like, it was really bad. And then the dad had like a heart attack. And there's like all these things that people do with trolling that is just like so dark and crazy that I've kind of become desensitized to a lot of it. So I know things aren't right, are offensive, and maybe someone should be fired or something. But a lot of times I would never be the one sort of on the outrage. Like, I'll post something and objectively say that this was foolish or dumb, but I don't really get a lot of offense when it comes to these type of things. So sometimes I also have to, like, I don't know, see other people's perspectives, because I'm like, maybe I'm not the best example for like what things you should find offensive or not.
Right.
Guilty.
But
you were on them sites with Doja Cat.
oh gosh, what is that? Tiny Chat? No. I wasn't on like these crazy boards. Like, they're those really bad boards, like the really offensive ones. I wasn't on these crazy sites. It's just that I would see a lot of memes that we posted. Yep. Oh, perfect. I'm canceled.
It was nice knowing you, Toby.
Yeah, I guess I'm gonna that you're gonna lose your job plays in the background.
But I guess kind of like what you're saying. Like, I feel that it's sort of like the you know, I forget what the exact term is, but it's like when I guess like getting desensitized because you know you keep feeding yourself like the same stuff over and over again. Like, there's a lot of really, really, really toxic Reddit subreddits. I don't know so much anymore, but like, you know, way back in the olden Reddit days, like there was like Coontown and like all these like other like really like super racist like subreddits. And you know, like, and like these people who, you know, come to like these subreddits, you know, are constantly feeding off of each other. And then, you know, like they eventually like become, you know, just like, I guess in a way desensitized to it. And therefore it's like not as big of a deal, or it's like, or that, you know, they just kind of lose like that sort of level of empathy, if I'm making any sense. But like, so I guess it's one of those things where it's like, I guess it's just, you know, you have to take everything in moderation.
True.
The Melanated Council of Buttigieg.
Yeah.
I don't think
Macabre.
there's a handful of people he paid.
Right. All right, let's see, because I know we're running close on time, but there's another question.
Oh, go ahead.
There's another question from Meta Job on that he posted earlier. We're getting back to it. He asked, "What do you think is not cancel? What's not cancel culture, but gets lumped into it?" So, what do you guys think it is not cancel culture, but gets lumped into it?
Police brutality way too often, but not like the murders, but like the beatings in the street and then like one of them gets doxxed or they'll find their address, and then people are like, "Oh, you're canceling this guy." No, he's a felon. Like what? I don't like keeping the police brutality cases into cancel culture.
I agree. I think for me, the one thing I could probably think about that hasn't happened too often is those white collar crimes that happened back in like 2008, going to 2009,
Like Bernie.
where
Oh, you mean like The Big Short kind of thing?
like you know how a lot of the companies were like doing those balloon mortgages, and then
Right.
once they
I think I said the name of the movie. I said the name of the movie, The Big Short.
Oh, the Bernie Madoff. Okay, yeah, I see what you're saying.
yeah,
I think Bernie Madoff was like in the 90s, if I'm not.
Yeah.
But anyways, go on, sorry.
Yeah, but yeah, like we don't hear about that too often. But at the same time, I think that if it were to arise again, that might get lumped into it, especially if it's like a really like well-known investor who invested like a lot of money and they got caught with their hand in the cookie jar for whatever reason, and they're like, "Oh, you're canceled because you did." I'm like, he just did something wrong that was like totally illegal. That if anybody else, if any one of us did it, we would have been in jail like yesterday, without parole or probation and whatever else, with no bail. So yeah, that thing.
I do wonder if people use that as, because like even like with Martha Stewart, like I always hear that term, Martha Stewart jail. Like she's someone who got more popular, right? After she went ahead and decided to do insider training. Yeah, for sure. If people put these crimes, I mean, those definitely are legit crimes that we would get in much worse trouble for. So, like, if anything, I feel like they get slapped on the wrist a lot. I mean, Bernie Madoff, no, he definitely went to jail for like life. I'm pretty sure a lot of these other people did indeed do really hard time for some of these. Now, when you said white collar crime at first, I definitely thought you were talking about the sort of the pun that people talk about where white people are calling the police on, like, I've seen the whole article.
Oh,
I thought you were actually talking about those people being canceled, like the Karens and
white
the
collar.
and like it was the, because I was gonna say those people deserve all of the like calling police on kids selling lemonade and things like that, and then the Amy Cooper, I think was her name, with the dog. But I think we all are in agreement that that is definitely like appropriate. What's happened to those people who decide to like call the police or just like be very irritating and like, I'm gonna do this to you, and it's just like we could just have a conversation. Instead, you're gonna call the police. But anyway, I would say that is the thing though that should not be called cancel culture, because I mean they were wielding power in a way that didn't make any sense. Like Bob Marley's, I think, grandchildren who were moving out of an Airbnb and got the police called on them because they didn't smile and wave at a neighbor. So they were assumed to be breaking in to the Airbnb, and that was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Never mind.
That happened like in 20.
Oh man, yeah, that was cool. But before we go, I want to say a few things. First off, there's merch in the Jermaine Johnson store. I got this nice hat. I have a really cool shirt. Hold on.
Yeah.
I gotta pop out the Jermaine shirt. Hold on, guys.
Come on now. Yes.
Okay.
Do it.
Flex. I'll find a link once we get this done. So if anybody wants that Jermaine merch, oh yeah.
Okay. I like it in white.
It's freaking sweet, and it's like such a cool white. Don't cancel me for that. It's such.
It's one of the good whites.
It's so comfortable.
Oh jeez. Yes, South Carolina. Go in.
Donate to our other homie Erica and all the other Yang Gang candidates.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it's been awesome talking about cancel culture and stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, like I said, I'll find a link to the merchandise and we'll put that in the channel. So if you guys want to send it off to somebody else that hasn't seen it, or if you guys watch this at a later time, because of time discrepancies. That's fine. Support our boy, our gang candidate that got that first dub. Whoop whoop. Jermaine Johnson. Support him. And then I know we got a bunch of other gang candidates that's running in their primaries, and so we're going to support them as much as we possibly can. I know, of course, our very own Erica. She's running in 2022, but she's getting the ball rolling. She's getting the ball started early, which is a good thing. So whenever she decides to send out her merch, we'll let you guys know. So other than that, this is our episode of Cancel Culture. Again, please like, subscribe,
share,
push that notification bell so you guys are ready to watch the next one. And then until next week, we are out of here. We'll see you guys. Peace.
Have a good night, y'all.
night.